Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Tuesday afternoon, and Militiaman and Crew here. We got a few things to talk about. Firstly, we got to get things into perspective, and we'll lead up to where we are today, tomorrow, etc. But there was the Turkish energy minister has started talking with Iraq in respect to opening up their oil pipeline this week. So they say they have intentions to do so. The country says we intend to resume operation of a pipeline transporting oil from Iraq to Turkey this week. I find it kind of interesting that they say they're going to intend to do so. It says the pipeline to transport oil from Iraq is ready as of today, so that was a day or so ago. And anyway, that's been in the news, and I think it's technically ready for operation. So we'll see. But I think the bottom line is we all have an understanding that they have to value the assets. In other words, they're going to have to have a valuation on that, and which comes from an exchange rate, an international one, and we haven't seen that yet. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. There's more than one article about that specific topic, but that's the one that I used tonight. It says the announcing of the results of a meeting of the three presidencies and the judiciary. So the President of the Republic, Abdul Latif Jamal Rashid, the Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, the Speaker of the House of Representatives Mohammed al-Habousi, and the Chairman of the Judicial Council Faik Sadane. They all got together, discussed meetings about the latest developments about the political side of things, security files, overall situation in the country, and understandably so, there's a lot of stuff in the country that need to be resolved, and they're working on that. But it goes on to say that the attendees that were there, quote, the results of the Prime Minister's visit to New York and his participation in the meetings of the United Nations General Assembly, so you guys remember back when that was happening, it said that the international interest in Iraq's participation and praise for the Iraqi government's steps in enhancing security and stability and commitment to sustainable development and their plans and goals. And they go over
said
all
that. Look, the presidencies basically rejected that. They're rejecting any aggression targeting Iraqi territory as it's inconsistent with the principles of good neighborliness and threatens security and stability in Iraq and the region. So what I'm getting at with this is just that the three presidencies are basically stating that they have what it takes for security and stability. It's additional support, because we talked about that during the UN meetings. That's where al-Sudani told everybody at that UN meeting that they're a sovereign state. So it says now that though let's go with this. The Minister of Commerce comes out at the legal department in the ministry's headquarters to follow up on the final stages of the electronic transformation of its entire work, which is certain to begin within the next 2 weeks. So this is the beginning of them talking about digital transformation, implementation of digital transformation, and we're talking about not just one entity, but numerous entities that are geared up to have everything hooked up electronically, and they're going paperless. We've talked about this for quite a few years. It says the process of automating the legal department is the first step to electronic transformation, and it will be followed successfully by the rest of the ministry's formations to get rid of the classic paper-based and routine system to an electronic system using a modern and advanced programming language. So basically, the electronic transformation is not going away. We're going to find that they're going to be electronic in lots of different things to bring them into the world, to make them part of the global trade, which is going to entail being part of the World Trade Organization. So ultimately, though, what does it do? It makes them in line with the world. So they're going to have similar competitive type systems around the world. And so we're seeing evidence of that now. The timing of all of these electronic systems are not by coincidence. The trickle down that you're going to see is amazing, because it's not just one ministry. There's more. It says here the work is underway to launch the electronic retiree services platform on mobile phones. So electronically, all the retirees and people on pensions, etc., are within the retirement authority that are proceeding with plans towards comprehensive electronic transformation of all its work to make sure all the retirees are taken care of. Again, it's an electronic system. When it's all about payments, we talked about electronic payment systems, the POS systems. We talk about the borders, taxes, tariffs, and all that, electronic. So you can see that at this stage of the game, they're moving forward. Definitely moving forward. It says here that just based off them being able to manage files, storing documents, it will contribute directly to simplifying the completion of the pension transactions and providing the best electronic services to the segments of the retirees. And it goes on, and the gentleman points out that the authority launched the electronic platform in coordination with the concerned authorities and regarding the validity of the issuance of life certificates, agencies, documents, et cetera, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and basically noting that the authority continues its seriousness in converting these documents and services into electronic ones. So a little bit of a lengthy bit there, but the truth is that automation is key, and they are definitely getting that up and running. And we also have, remember, security and stability. We talked about that. Well, what are some of the things that need to be secure and stable? Well, you need your borders, your ports, airports. Okay, they need to have security and stability. And what do we see? We see that there's in Iraq has been working and continuing to implement all the provisions for the security agreement with Iran. Iran's one of the biggest trading partners, as we all know. And what are they going to do? They're going to have trade between those two borders. And so they're probably going to have competitive valued assets. And so we're waiting to see how that works out. So it goes on to say the National Security Advisor, Qasim al-Haraji, confirmed today, which was Monday, that Iraq is continuing to implement all paragraphs in the Joint Security Agreement with Iran, while the Secretary General of the Iranian National Security Council, Hamidyan, indicated that the implementation of the Joint Security Agreement came to achieve the interests of both countries. Okay, we don't need to go over that, but basically they're suggesting this has been a very important meeting, and obviously Haraji has stated that he gives greetings to the Prime Minister Shia al-Sudani. They basically outlined stages of work that they were going to carry out in areas that have been identified by both Iraq and Iran. And basically, here's a key point, was all of which was evacuated, and the Iranian opposition elements were disarmed in accordance with the agreement, and the federal forces were deployed, and they were placed away from the borders. So the idea there is that Iraq has done what they were needing to do in the security agreement. And if we go back and remember that al-Sudani had some issues about disarming militias and et cetera in the country. So everything is about Iraq is the sovereign state. They don't want anybody doing any attacking in other countries, back and forth. They want that sorted. And so ultimately what they did says that the results achieved after the security agreement have not occurred since 1991. Obviously, that's been a very long time, decades. Okay, so but they pulled that off, which is a big thing. That should go into al-Sudani's attaboy side. That's of things. You know, he's actually been working hard, and his efforts are paying off. And he's basically stating that we're not going to allow anybody threatening our country, and from inside or outside. So it's pretty cool, really good stuff. And then we go so far as to see here is that it says 11 countries want to invest in the path of the development, which is the Development Road Project. There even suggested not only that 11 countries, they're talking upwards of 50 countries. And so all of this stuff that we've been telling you about the project to reconstruct Iraq, for them to go international, I mean, the argument is just the evidence, I mean, too, is not only an argument, because there is, some people are saying it's not ever going to happen, why won't they ever do it, da 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 da. But what I'm showing is that they are doing it, and it takes a lot to do this. It is one of the most complex things that I've ever witnessed in my life, and probably you have too, and I've been around a while. But here we go, they got 50 countries that are expected to be initiated. It says the world is facing the birth of an exceptional transportation line that will connect the countries of Southeast Asia and the Indian Ocean to Europe via Iraq. I mean, it sounds massive, and it is. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's basically going to be competitive to the Suez Canal from the sounds of it. But it says the benefits of the project can be summarized in 15 points, the most prominent of which are the financial returns, the volume of investments, in building industrial cities and other logistical support, okay? Not to mention the creating of jobs, charting a new transportation route. It'll attract so many various entities around the world and the goods of the world. So basically, the Sudanese government, al-Sudani, has been knocking it out of the park, and all of this stuff coming through the Port of Fao all the way up into Turkey is going to be massive. I mean, building roads, building industrial cities, industrial parks, commercials. I mean, think about it, all the infrastructure that has to go into that. Water, sewer, roads, okay? Electrical, they gotta have the power. You've seen everything about Saudi Arabia talking about power, Jordan talking about power, Egypt talking about power. Everybody's involved in this. Everybody has things to do it. Saudi Arabia is involved. They're all ready to go. You've seen Saudi Arabia in the news. You've seen Jordan in the news. You see Jordan having a banking dinner for al-Awlaq, the central bank governor of Iraq last night. You got all kinds of things happening behind the scenes. You have the World Trade Organization going to have an accession meeting tomorrow. We're going to have to wait and see how that turns out. I'll move on from there, but in the meantime, back to the Parliamentary Finance Committee has announced outcomes of hosting the Ministry of Planning and the governors, while it announced hosting the Ministry of Finance in the coming days for what? To discuss the delay in financing projects. So everybody's like, oh, well, if we're going to do this, our budget got started January 1st, and here we are pushing 10 months into the year. What's going on with these financing of projects? Okay, everybody's been talking about the investment budget. I haven't been talking about it. Okay, there's a reason that they haven't funded that yet, and we're all waiting for it. And that's what we're hoping for al-Awlaq to come out, which is the central bank governor, is to have a communication about that. He had a big promotional dinner last night, and so you have to ask, well, why is he being promoted when Parliament wants to talk to him? Because he hasn't done his job? I'm not so sure that all that stuff has been accurate. So you got to remember, there are factions out there that just have smoke and mirrors. They create problems. They create stirs. You got guys like from the framework, al-Maliki. He's notorious for creating stirs. You got to remember that he's in the news again this evening. That's not my point. The point is that there's things that are ongoing. There's new projects that need to be up and running. And basically there's a concern from the ministry. Well, they should have a concern because it hasn't been done yet. And it's not going to look good on their part. So if these guys are in the ministry and the public get to a certain point where they get pushed hard enough, they're going to go to those ministries and find out, well, you were involved in that, were you not? So I'm assuming this is where the pressure's coming from, to have the Ministry of Finance and to have the Parliament Finance Committee get together and try to have some talk about these things. But basically, they're supposed to have the Ministry of Finance within the next, by Thursday, it looks like, this week. We'll see what happens with that. And basically it says the matter constitutes a concern given the year is almost over, like I just said, and there are financial allocations that do not fund projects. So they're basically getting to that stage where we need the budget to be open so that we can spend money and it's been something that I've been harping on for quite some time. And so if you see the correlation through my videos, and you can see the data that we provide in Patreon, and you can see the news that we put out every day in Discord, the chat room there. So plenty of people are in there absorbing that and are finding it to be phenomenal information. And I suggest everybody, if you care to do so, come join us. It's a fascinating place. So basically the next thing is, like we talked about, we had the Ministry of Finance, you have the Ministry of Planning, Ministry of Trade is a key one. All of them have been in the news recently, and they're really important. Here's an article about the Union of Importers and Exporters. Well, Iraq has primarily been an importer country because the only thing they exported was oil. Well, now that they've changed that to other natural resources, they went from a 95% oil-related market down to 50%. And so that's a big thing. That's an indicator for the World Trade Organization to suggest that they're not just an oil rent country. And so here the Union of Importers and Exporters have confirmed today that the intention of the region in the Islamic Republic of Iran to expand relations in various aspects. So there you go. You got trade with Iran and Iraq. We're seeking to expand the process of trade exchange between Iran and the region. So when they say the region, they're talking about the North Iraq Kurdistan region, but we already know that Iraq has a relationship with Baghdad as well. It says that the benefit from the trade exchange process with the free zones in Iran, so the exporters of Iraqi goods potentially, well, businessmen or whatever have maybe a free zone in Iran, therefore they can make it easier for them to do the trade. It says the union has held and will hold several bilateral meetings with the Iranian president's advisor to develop plans and mechanisms to expand the development trade exchange between the two countries, and basically confirm that the volume of trade between the two countries exceeded $2 billion this is last year. So you can see there's a lot of money involved in this whole thing. The whole process is all about doing trade, rebuilding Iraq, and it's going to be very, very, very profitable. Investors are probably going to make a killing. And I think there's going to be a lot of people in the world that are going to be affected by this. So, but if we go back in time, so what we're going to talk about is tomorrow we have a meeting at some point in time with the World Trade Organization in Iraq. It said that there was 57 parliamentarians recently, which goes back to September 22nd. It's not that long ago. Attended a briefing session that focused on various aspects of the World Trade Organization. And it's basically about the WTO's accession process and related key agreements. So to me, when they say related key agreements, it means that they have some agreements already. So as we go into this, it says basically they're going to do some things about domestic reform, and all this talk was going to be about what accompanies the accession process. So it's underway. It's almost like, well, they've been talking about it since 2003, 2007, 2011 and 12. And then you just go on and on and on. And so here we are, 2023, and we have progress. And their accession at this stage of the game is hopefully on the table as early as tomorrow. We'll see how it works. We don't know for sure if it's going to be tomorrow or if it's going to be sometime in a latter date. But we're going to find out. But it's also very powerful that these things have come together. The European Union's behind it. There's an entity called SAAVI project. Has to do with strengthening the agriculture and agri-food chain and improving trade policy in Iraq. So basically, they're having components that meet the criteria for full accession. So we're going to have to watch to see if they do get full accession. Basically, their efforts have enabled a regular interior ministerial coordination and active engagement of all stakeholders. Well, who are those stakeholders, right? It looks like the stakeholders that we're talking about is the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Finance, State Council, the National Committee on WTO Accession, Committee on Trade and Goods, and Committee on Trade and Services. So if you remember, some of these electronic systems that we were talking about are touching bases on that trade, the construction portion of it, the finance part of it, the planning department. All of these things will help Iraq navigate through the accession process, making a strategic or by making strategic decisions on issues related to international trade, on goods and services and investment. So ultimately, when is that supposed to happen? The bottom line is, it looks like that it's going to be tomorrow. The union submitted an invitation to the organization to attend the introductory symposium on Iraq's entry into the World Trade Organization, which will be held on October 4th, 2023, in the Hall of the Federation of Iraq Chamber of Commerce. So basically, everyone, let's see what these guys do. If they can get the accession, we're going to see, after what today is Iraq's Independence Day, which was stated to be, even though it is the same day and has been for many years, decades and decades and decades. Why is this one different? Is because Iraq went to the UN and said their piece, told everybody that they were a free sovereign state, and that goes along with having a sovereign currency, we believe, at some point in time, and then to be able to go into the international financial system, which we all know that those are many of the things that we've been talking about, and that is all on the table. So we're going to have to wait and see how it goes, see what they show us. But to me, I don't think there's anything stopping them. I don't know if this is going to happen in the next 24, 48 hours, or if it's going to still be a significant amount of time. But the bottom line is, we can see that they're moving forward. So thank you for being here this afternoon. I hope everybody's really happy, because, to be fair, I'm elated, and I think it's going to be a good week. So for those of you that haven't been here before, there is a like and subscribe button. And of course, to help keep this place going, a lot of work, there is the Venmo and PayPal. You can hit those donate buttons and help us keep this content flowing, because we really do enjoy helping you. And if you can help us, it's awesome. So thank you so much. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.